50% up on the price target, the 3-star buy that we talked about last week. Will that happen? We're here to decompress a little bit as well after last week's shenanigans. What a crazy week it's been. Everybody in the chat is with me. I'm live right now. It's good to see everybody. How you doing? How you doing? Put it in the chat box. Got a poll up there. Are you a live person? There's the live person chart. Hello. Yes. What a lovely chart it is. Wow, it's really shot up today. The AGM was today. Everybody is happy. We're going for the annual great moonshot. The annual great moonshot melting faces. Live person's melting the faces. Let's get this party started, says Hedge Hunter in the chat. I feel alive. We've got a goal up on the charts right now. Got in the chat. If we get there, we'll do ultra moving average analysis of the chart. Let's just put this on the 4-hour time frame, get a bit more data on our chart. Highs up at 98 cents. Testing the dollar. Wow, 97% of people saying they're a live person. Wow, we did it, guys. We did it. Check it out. We've done so amazing. Are you celebrating? What? Remember last couple of weeks we were talking about what price targets there could be, right? Got plenty to talk about this week, and we said the prices could go down to this target here. So let's just say that you got in at around about this low, and I'm sure some people did because we were talking about this on the show. Go back and fact check it if you want to see my old episodes, the old analysis, the reasons why the prices would go there. It's all there in my archive from the last couple of weeks. So anyway, the prices are up 44% up at their high from there. Brilliant. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've got a lot of green numbers in their account today in the chat. It's always good days like that. All because of the amazing opportunity that this company presents. Isn't it awesome? Isn't it? That's what it boils down to. And of course, us being so amazing and awesome as well. Trade spotting is the one that deserves the shout outs, of course, more than anybody. However, we do have some people deserving of shout outs from our chat here. I want to just say hey to the top fans chatting in the chat box right now. Got the top chatters, Careless Whisper, Jordan and Super Cashy. Compete with them with your chitty chatters and you'll see how it's going. And you might just be the number one chatter. We've got Natural Friend as taking us towards our goal. M. Devlin doing his part. Respond to these chat messages in the chat box, folks, and tell them how much you appreciate them making the chat box so fun. Oh wow, look at all those colours. Sunny Sun taking part, Merrick as well. Ultra LPSN sounds amazing, says Queenie Jeannie. Yeah, let's get some of that on. Let's get some of that ultra stuff. We're going to be doing a little bit of Fibonacci analysis just here, seeing how the prices have been performing. Thanks so much as well to XD and to UBoogie. Maybe check out some of UBoogie's memes in the Discord today, possibly on the live show. We'll be here for around about an hour, folks. Welcome to the chat box. Welcome to the show. Everybody in there feeling pretty good because we're up like 50% from the recent buy price on this stock. Everybody's pretty chuffed. Queenie Jeannie, Chris, Natural Fiend, Bluegill, all chipping in towards the previous goal. LG as well. Hage Hunter, Minner. Awesome people making this goal happen. Jimbo Jim even did it as well. I think that's me caught up for just now. Oh, you boogie! I've done it again. Let's go, LPSN. Yeah, isn't it awesome? Right, this is a 1 hour time frame. Do I want to just change my settings so that the extended hours is not so ugly? There we go. We're going up to a bigger time frame here to start our ultra fib analysis. Ultra fib analysis. Let's take it from the highs down to the lows first. Now, there's plenty of reasons why I would be doing this sort of thing, but I'm not going to go into great detail on all the reasons why, because that's part of the education. You can get educated on this in the community, but we are a trader coaching channel, so expect some fun. It's almost lined up perfectly on the charts. That's good enough for us, I think. Starting with that one gives us our first major target to aim for. So we can write this down in our copy books. So we'll call it 138. We'll call it 138. So it's 138. Let's call it one. Let's just write down 140. Right? We see the price is at 140. Be nowhere above it. That's going to be our first major target on this. This is 140, because of course we're doing here, of course, is LivePerson. So we're going to be doing some TA on LivePerson using Fibonacci. We have a goal in the chat right now, and we'll do TA on LivePerson using moving averages if we meet that goal. And we know that there's a target then here, number one, great big major checkbox for us. That would be super bullish, super bullish. What is that? That is the 0.236 fib. And let's zoom on in and do the same thing again from the recent high to low. Have my handy dandy Rocky Outcrop toolkit here, making it so this is already drawn in for us. Which is awesome. This may be difficult for people to see that, actually. So the 236 on this one is 81 cents 52, like 0.8152. So prices are currently above that. So let's then call that the first checkpoint that we've successfully gone above, and we'll use that right now for whenever we can be super hype, or if we're just going to chill out a little bit and see how things play out. So we'll call that our the lower end of our positivity range. What was that? we called that 8152, yeah. So I'll just put it in 8150. So now I've written that down. We'll get back to that. I'll open that back up in a second when we want to look at the lower and upper side of that range. What happens if we break above this area? What are we looking to see if we can do? So there's two things at once. We want to break above our prior high, and we want to break above the 382. What was that? That was awesome. Target hit. Brilliant. We'll do the moving averages as well then. So we're looking to see the next major thing is to see if we can get above. If I just move that little drawing. 9751. Now we have had in the recent past. Wait, did I read that wrong? Did we have highs? What's going on here? Where is our? Let me just double check today's price action. Yeah, 99. We've been up as high as that, but that's amazing. So we're going back up to that big time frame just a second. I'll put horizontal in there for now as well. That's the next major checkpoint. We've already tested that so far. Got a couple of extra things as well. So we've got $1, the prior sort of high, and the 382. So we've got three things of confluence there. So we'll definitely make a note of that. Right, and we'll have three reasons coming out of that one. So the first one was prior high. Next one is 382 fib. The next one is it's basically at the $1 psychological pivot. So that's a really big checkpoint for us. Let's just bring up our notes then. Bring these up to speed. Bring you up to speed. That's our notes, right? So we have the big target at the top end of the range. Okay, we've got this end at the bottom, which is just like this is the active bullish phase that we're in right now. Sort of that's hype. Let's stay above that. As we want to do our due diligence, right? We don't want to just be like, oh, let's not look down. Let's just say, like, let's just pick a number. That's a good one to pick. Fair enough, right? And then there is this, which is really interesting because we've got confluence lining up there of a few things. So where could the prices go if we see that we're able to break that? Now we've already tested it in post-market. What happens if this next couple of weeks we see it running up there? What would happen? What would happen? Could we get a target that's higher up based on Fibonacci? Looking closely at the chart here, trying to find if we can get a number that's got a bit of confluence with some of these other numbers. We could be looking for 140. Let's see if we can find something. If we look there at 140, there's 130 is 618. And the golden pocket would extend up to do I have it on here already? Stick that on there. 065. So we did round up to get to 140. Let's just kind of round that back down again. Put it back to where it actually was, 138. And we've got one just in here. Just in here. just in this area, we've got a zone to look to. Fair value gap, one extra reason. Golden pocket, confluence. So we also have, let's fix that up on the notes to make it 138. And then we'll say also there is 135 to 130, which is the golden pocket, and there is a fair value gap. And then, of course, there is confluence. Awesome. That is pretty ultra, pretty deep dive. And we've got some key overlapping areas there. I think that's pretty excellent. And people have been able to take notes, go along with this, and learn a thing or two, which is cool. Now, I've marked that box on. I marked that there area, nice little kind of fair value gap. Get to see the, is there a fair value gap? There's maybe not a fair value gap, whatever. We'll be able to get to see what is, correct me, actually there's a mission for people if you're looking at home. Go and investigate and see if there is one in there. But nevertheless, this area at the top here, which has been left kind of exposed, is definitely the area of confluence. And I don't care what you call it. There was that move down, and it was good to look at that being challenged, right? Because that's where a lot of liquidity is going to exist in there. That is just to get started, right? Now, if we make it into any of these high targets, we're looking at putting in higher highs. That would be cool because we'd be looking at coming up and possibly forming some sort of larger pattern and so on. But it's the weekly time frame. What we have here is the next major target is 293. 293. So if we make it outside and past all of that, we're looking to what the next series of targets are. And we could just take a couple of quick notes in terms of the higher time frame, right? And take a couple of notes. So we're looking at the, and then what we'll do is we'll look at the inverse targets, the sort of extension targets from the last range, right? So then we'll be done with our ultra analysis. Is it too much? Is it too much? Are we getting lots of value at this? It's brilliant because LivePerson's hype, right? And it's doing so amazing. We'll also be doing some Bitcoin technical analysis, come up with some chat about that, and we'll be giving ourselves a pat on the back for the things that we accomplished last week. If you want to have a quick stroll down memory lane real quick, last week what I spoke about was, will QQQ or NASDAQ get its all-time high before SPX, not had that scenario playing out before? It happened, we called it, that's fantastic, so that's awesome. And we also had Bitcoin chat here, which I can bring up from the Discord later on perhaps, but chat about that, which we did, we called that, and we have other things that we're going to be talking about in today's show, by the way, which include, where is it, which include this, which is of course the Discord chat. Great stuff coming in here today from a whole bunch of the crew. We'll be looking at a couple of articles as well, on recent articles that's come out about LivePerson in today's show as well. So we're doing all of that in today's show. Plenty of time, 20 minutes in today's show, doing a bit of deep dive chat on Fib for folks. Fib for the folks at home who are watching along. And right, so 293. That's the big target up above. But we've got a few along the way to get to beforehand. I think the major sort of pivot point to look to is 181. If it can get as high as that, really, it's anywhere between. It's in the well, whatever. We're just going to call it 180. And then beyond that, you've got up to 293, I think. And we don't need to get too carried away right now, but there are other targets that are coming in here quite clearly. One of them being $9.95 and another being $5.40. Really big targets that I think we'd naturally start looking to. But what we want to do is a quick, where's your 1618 question? We'll make this one nice and visible, make it red. And where's your, go for the 2618 just for the crack. No, actually, earlier on in the year, right? Or was it earlier, late last year? Last year, Floki, one of the cryptocurrency coins, had a great rise up. And it went to the 4.414. It was my target for it. Do I not have that there? I just want to put on 4.23, whatever it happens to be, right? This can keep me right. No, 4.414. And I want to get that target for us. That's going to be cool from this thing. So there's the 1618 is up there at 4.44. Right, 444, nice number. And the 4414 is at 137. 137. Boom. And that's the plan. Parkside Boys here with a plan. Here's the plan. Why is that not updated? Just have to get this to update. Update. And ends in profit. Yeah, so those are the targets for folks that we've been working out on the show based on the fib stuff. Let's check on a couple of moving averages. Now we'll not go into too much detail about the moving averages, but just popping the toolkit on here, hiding the drawings that we've got. Let's get back to the chart. You having a good time in the chat there, by the way? Let's see if you're all having a good time. Look at that. You guys making the target hit were awesome. Natural Fiend, Hedge Hunter, Queenie Genie, getting all getting stuck in there. Yeah. Right, yeah, everybody looks like they're pretty happy. You got a question in the chat here. In TradingView, when I pull the fib tool from and to the same levels as Rocky, my levels are different dollar values. Golden Pocket at 157, for example. Noticed it a couple of times. Thanks. Great question from SN. SN, great question. Right, so the answer to that is probably that I tend to use logarithmic charts. And you may not be doing so. Let's have a quick look at the tool settings for you as well, pal. And if we scroll on down here, you'll see this option, fib levels based on log scale. And I use the log scale chart, and that's a good chance of being the answer for you. So hit that like button if you enjoyed that answer, pal. Sunny Sun says amazing. Yo, it's good that you're enjoying it. Right, so yeah, what we were going to do next was take a look at this with the Rocky Crop Toolkit giving us the moving averages. This is the weekly chart. and we have two moving averages here. I'll just bring up my settings so you can see what they are. Scrolling all the way down, you've got the kind of blue coloured one is the 50 simple moving average. The purple one is 200 simple moving average. There's a blue one, and the blue one is sitting at around about $1. $1 in the weekly time frame. Wow, that's another big thing. So let's write that down. 50 SMA on weekly. That's amazing, right? I think nice to know that that lines up there. Nice to know, right? Parkside Boys. The 200 simple moving average is up there at $10. Wow, 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 wow. $10. So there was a kind of a little shout out had to go to $9.95. We'll give it a little star on our notes because we want to have a reminder that that's an important number for us. So that's the weekly time frame. Let's just keep with these two. We'll jump down to the daily time frame here. What have we got? 81 cents, 50 moving average. And we have up there, oh, of course we do. Of course, we have the 200 on the daily. Brilliant. Let's jump on down another time frame together, guys. If you're enjoying the show, let me know. Current price of LPSN dancing around at 92 cents. 0.9248. Nice. Yeah, we like that. We like what we see. We like what we see, ladies and gents. So we're going to just continue this. We're down to the 4-hour time frame. We've got a couple more things to see. 200 simple moving average kicking around at 78, the 4-hour time frame. So we've got another, we're going to just put another little kind of one here for that. Shout out to that level. One-hour time frame. What I'm going to do on the 1-hour time frame, providing everything loads up here for us. Yeah, there we go. I'm looking here at the slope, and that's a nice slope on the 50. Seeing a nice upward slope here on both of these moving averages, just forming as a result of this lovely rise in price, bringing in here for the cross, and it's a great cross. We have the 1-hour sort of golden cross, 1-hour golden cross, and it happened around about the 76 cents area, and we're seeing that it has left a couple of fair value gaps on the chart there, all highlighted for us, which is nice to know about. Not that it's nice to have, but it's nice to know about. That's where we have a really good solid understanding of if prices came back down to this area, it would be a big retest zone. So this is of course the retest and the lower end of our range. Let's just check in with our notes again, guys. If you've been taking notes as well, compare your notes with my notes. What do you think? Who's got the better ones? I've written it out like this. Shout out to TradeSpotting. I've written out here like this. So we've got a couple of things lining up with that 81 cent area, right? Where we have the retest, so equals retest. That is got a few things lining up here. 2C36 fib, right? The 50 simple moving average on the daily and the 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour time frame, all lining up around about there to say this is the lower end of the range. And we also have got as well some fair value gaps, right? So we also know that there are imbalances. in that area. So that's 4 things to know, that that's an area that could end up being tested again. That's our sort of cool, we've done our due diligence side of things, and everybody likes to have done the due diligence. On the upside, we also saw a few other things, like of course we have these 2 factors pointing towards 97 cents, the $1 area, all eyes on it, because of course we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clear things all lining up around about the $1 area. So we know it is a big, big deal. That is kind of like what would take you up to that 138 zone, right? That's a big deal for us too. What we can do, I suppose, here is to kind of look and see what prior price action happened around about those prices in a bit more detail for us as well. And just so we know, we have got another roughly 25 minutes of the show here tonight, and there's plenty of people in the audience all having a great time. Oh, I've been told I need a louder mic. Yeah, this is my kind of my traveling setup. It's not perfect. I'll try and improve things if I decide to stay here longer term. Right? Okay. Thanks so much for the shout out though about that. It's good to know, folks. Right? 137 on LPSN would be life changing, wouldn't it? Sunny Sun, it really would be. It's that's obviously the massive moonshot. Okay, so that's a moonshot target. If things go crazy, that's something to look at and say, well, hey, there's a reason for it. It could happen. So that's where the profit would be at. That's based on where things could go all off of the back of this lower chunk of price action, right? And it's because we've got this big range of price action in a small area of price. So just to dive into that for a second here, we had a big drop down in the price, and then there was a range here, which is actually, in terms of like absolute terms, is tiny. Terms equals tiny. You're talking like a range of, say, $1 down to, say, 50 cents. And that's that's tiny in absolute terms, 50 cents, right? But the range in terms of the percentages is huge. Right? And if you were to say then that to like double your money, what would you have to do if you had $1,000 and you bought it at 50 cents? Right? You'd need the price to go to $1, and then you'd have $2,000, right? Now, say you needed to then do that again, and you bought in at $2.50. 2,000, and you bought in at $2.50. What you would need is for the prices to go to 5 for you to double your money again. Okay, and that would be how big accounts would be looking at this as well. You know, what would it take to double the money? Big account, looking at that. That's the next big target. And as we go up here, each one of these is times in the range by 2, right? Which is a function of this 50% area at the low of this range. So then whenever you're looking at how, if we were to take this range and say that equals the appetite. Or the willingness. You know, and whatever way you wanted to look at it, so like the big hungry shark is out there having an appetite, taking big bites of price, and it demands moves like this, right? That's what it demands for it to be satisfied, because it's going to double its money, and that's the way it's looking at it. Or you want to say, oh, it's the willingness, the flexibility of price, looking at it from the other way around. This is how much it's willing to move. That's fine, but that's what it would be. So then looking at the target and saying, well, if we had this and it happened, right, and we saw this extension go up, right? Okay, so target, right, which is the moon target, right, would just be 4.414 of that range, right? Which would take you up, if you just were doing this, to the $137 point at one point. And it's because of the willingness of the price to move in that range. So we've had that cool, fun lesson there. So that's our deep dive. And we can see all of these things lining up with the way that the prices have moved today. And we just want to take a couple little fun kind of measurements and do the same sort of a little bit of fun here and just see, we saw that today what happened on price. If we just hide the drawings here and bring up the chart again for a second and show you. Look at what happened today in prices, the daily time frame. Prices moved between the 50 simple moving average and the 200 simple moving average today. That was today's range. That was the size of the move between those moving averages. So like what we can see here is that there's a sort of sense of an established boundary or willingness for the prices to move in a certain amount at a certain time. So like we've got this, and we know that there's a sort of established boundary and willingness, appetite for the prices to move. So bringing that over from that other page, just to say that today we saw that there was the range that went between the 50 to the 200. And it seems huge, but also if we look back, we can see that that is actually the same size as the range actually already was, which just goes to underline this idea about the sort of the willingness. And I'm just using words like that to avoid using complicated words like volatility, right? So what we're going to do is just take a quick look at the chart here again and say, wow, that is exactly indeed what did occur. And if we just were to take out like a little kind of measuring stick, you'll just draw a line with the brush here and say that was the movement that we had today. I kind of line this up here as our measuring stick versus this range, and we can see that that's the same size as the range that we were just in, because there is this thing, whether it's small time, long time. And we just pop this up above and say, well, where does it take us to if we go the same distance again? And you'll notice that it lands us exactly onto that purple box that we had, which is the next big target up, which is in that 130s area. And to say that the prices would be unwilling to go there would be mad, because we've seen it happen in a day. However, the absolute terms, when this moves up, will expand. Right? This expands in absolute terms, doesn't it? But in terms of the percentages moved and the logarithmic sense, it's static. Okay, so do you see that relationship there? Just to underscore this again, because this is incredible lessons for people. Makes this an evergreen episode for everybody who's watching along. Is that what you have here? Is you have the discussion that we're having with regards to this range here and how it could go up towards the $137 target. Yes, we know that this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, not making promises that the prices are going there. What we're doing is we're looking at this as with deep value and getting into the telescope and taking our photographs of the moon, saying what does it look like up there, and this is and how do we get there? This is this is how it would work, right? So we're not saying it's going to happen, but this is just the scaffolding framework blueprints, the roadmap, right? The future, but not guarantees. And this is what so this idea then, how does it get there? And it's to do with, of course, the logarithmic scaling of this. And what we see is that they get, the conversation was about absolute versus percentages. And what we'll see is then, with the prices moving up, what we'll see is, of course, an exponential rise in absolute value ranges, right? At the same time, we'll see a static range in what today we are calling willingness. Just to make that really accessible and easy lesson, high level stuff, really valuable, excellent. And we're here at 41 minutes, seeing that we've got chat in the chat box like excellent and this is brilliant. So we'll have to give ourselves a little pat on the back for doing good work there. I'm very happy that we've done that. Excellent technical analysis we've done here as a team together on the channel has been absolutely phenomenal. The community is really, really strong. We've got TradeSpotting as a valiant knight out there, putting out incredible content daily basis. So I'm going to ask people as the next poll, the next chat goal, if you want me to see me in a short video this week, right? Because if you get to this goal, then I'll be making a short video, short clip this week with some cool, amazing info from me, right? That's the goal. And I love your encouragement, right? If your encouragement makes this happen, then I'll definitely go the extra mile. That's what I want to do. So I'm trying to get the hype happening in the chat. Let's start it off for you guys, and you guys can make this happen. I want to see Rocky in the short, says you boogie. Resoundingly yes, says TSF. Cool, excellent. It's good chat from folks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin technical analysis, right? And we'll come back to this here, but just as we leave off right now, the prices are 93, 0.9395, real after hours strength here. Really happy to see this happening for people. A lot of really good looking accounts out there amongst that handsome audience today. 93, yeah, 0.9395. We're actually we're just getting a little bit of that lipstick on the collar of 94 cents here. It's very good. So we're going to take a look at Bitcoin, because crypto has been on the blunt end of this. Trump, the crypto sort of president, has been doing a lot of stuff after hours. I want to ask people in the chat, have you learned anything over the last week with regards to investing? 95. Oh, you just don't get better than that, do you? Well, you do. You get 96. Let's hope we get to 96. We've got 93% of people said that they are a live person. Oh, we've got people giving out a gift here. Ali B gave out gifts to people. That's really cool. And you boogies contributed towards the goal already. That's so sweet of people. So I want to ask people in the audience, because this is the big question of our times, is have you learned anything over the last week? Have you learned anything? Like last week we tuned in and we're talking about the threat of the Hormuz Strait getting closed. We put it in there about 10 to 20%. You can see we got so close to that happening, but it didn't happen. Oh, got so close to an escalation, but we said it looked like it was going the other way. What could have happened? Could have been incredible. But instead we had an astounding move. 98.
Fucking that's all.
Yes. We had an astounding outcome with these 20-foot tall, 30,000 pound bombs dropping onto the nuclear site. Wow. Wait. Bitcoin 107,000. Look, in the Discord we've got great technical analysis on Bitcoin. In short, this is the area for the pivot towards bullishness, really, to break outside of what's this sort of downward trend here, just before we move back over to looking at LivePerson in live, actual real time. We've got this sort of downward channel here. Breaking outside of this is the range at 107, 108,000. We start to see the psychology shift. Obviously, before you really put your foot down and get bullish, the lower risk positive trade comes in post 112. But in this zone here, this is where you're getting that kind of near fake out territory, but it's the psychological pivot, and we've been anticipating that. Had a great technical setup recently in the chat. Just wanted to shout out in the Discord, wanted to shout out to people, if we do see a retracement back down to this area, I'd be test the 50 simple, and I'd be filling in a fair value gap, and that's where we had the purple box. The purple box was really important in recent shows, so if I just kind of maybe get the purple back, well, it's not showing up just there, but the purple box was really important. If you remember from last week's show, you should definitely check out the analysis that we've had recently. In fact, here it is here. So you see that would be a retest of that if we filled in that fair value gap. So this is the volatility channels that we would be in the bigger time frames. Brilliant to be above 104,000. That's where you get stay positive, because it's part of that positive flip on the range. But really, 113,000 is where it gets mad, because it brings us into the all-time high range. Confidence be fully restored across the market and altcoins. We see a move there. Bitcoin dominance, we're looking to see if we get a drop down, double top here, perhaps bring it back down to see if we can get some enthusiasm. We have to see if Ethereum is the one to lead the story for the altcoins. As ever, it's had a drop outside of what looked like, it could have been breaking down. Has that created a huge bear trap? Wonderful for liquidity with this inverted head and shoulders here. Breaking above 2,500 does lead to a huge move up. You've got a range below from 2,110 up to 2,500, so this could take it all the way up towards 2,900, put it in towards breaking past this range. It screams and begs for a Fibonacci extension. Talking about fibs on today's show, to ask where the 1618 is if we'd actually pushed outside of this range with momentum and had a real positive turnaround. That would be crazy, up there towards 4,000 or 3,500. Absolutely possible. If it did a floki, you'd be looking at 8 grand, and I think that's, it's possible with Ethereum. But here, this would represent, this is a 4-hour time frame. If you know your stuff here on the channel, that's obviously a heartbeat pattern there, and it involves a bear trap towards the downside and a bull trap towards the top side. Moving back towards the center of that range, it needs to take out 2,550, and you start to see it really squeeze the bears. So we're still in bearish territory, but a move above this actually is where the neckline of head and shoulders is, and it catapults the price. So it's really interesting, and it's really fun to see that play out in real time. So looking to look at altcoins, you can see if it has a similar setup on it. It does. Inverted head and shoulders here. Movement up above that zone pushes it up high, fast. We want to see Bitcoin on the small time frames really beat these volatility channels one after the other. It's got a nice frozen rope chart pattern there, so we're going to be treat it mean, keep it keen in terms of a trend line towards the top side, but you cannot be bearish in this situation, because this could just keep on rising on up and up and up and up. So as long as that's respected, really, really great. But we've already done the bearish side, which is of course a test of that fair value gap could be on the cards. Overall, there's the analysis on crypto over, and we're moving back to LivePerson here. Audience is giving me a bit of encouragement towards making a short. Not massive amounts of encouragement towards making a short. We'll see if we get there towards the goal. We've got plenty of time on that. Right now, the price of LivePerson, 97 cents. Oh, 95 cents. Volatility is happening here. It is on right now. Let's bring up the 1 minute time frame so we get it nice and clear. Nice and clear. We have that green line from earlier on in our analysis. See the prices bouncing off it so far twice, because this is a big old wick just here. So we know, having done the work, there's always time for TA. You should get it tattooed on your forehead if you keep on losing money in markets. Then, because it's one of my stock phrases, there's always time for TA. Look, we did the TA earlier on. It would have already paid off twice if we were trading this in real time. Let's see if we can bust that. Bust it. Queen Genie is calling in the chat for a short video this week, by the way. It sounds like someone watching it back, short. Yeah, you could do it at that level, but we're actually going to be bullish on this one. XD 690. Hey, hey, hey. Wassa, wassa, wassa. I'm loving it, man. You've given us that 690. Definitely going to spend that on some BitConnect this weekend. Bing bong, the goal is on, says Shadow Lepton. I will be buying myself 1 pint of beer with that. Thank you so much. That's very, very good. You give me 1 pint of beer. M. Devlin with 199. That will buy me a game of pool to go with my beer. So you're making a night of it, guys and girls. Thanks so much for the support, right? Because we're looking to get towards me making a short video this week. Did you like the analysis I gave you recently with regards to the war as well? You might want my calm, technical analysis, risk managed approach to war correspondence, right? If you do, you want that. You want me to explain what's going on behind the news behind the news with that on a more regular basis. Let me know in the chat box what you thought of that, because I can explain what's happening in the world in a way that shows you all the dots connecting up, keep you informed and understanding the implications. One of the big things that's happening soon, of course, is the GDP figures for the USA. And what do you think they're going to be? Now, we know because last time there was record imports that it skewed the GDP figures. So the US economy shrank 0.3%, right? That's what's going to happen if you have record imports in March, April, May, like getting more and more and more because the tariffs are coming in. Then what did we see happen afterwards? Well, naturally they'd filled up their warehouses, so there was a massive drop. The same scale drop in imports happened after that. So what can we expect in terms of GDP figures? We're going to see growth in the US economy. So what we're going to have is not the US Trump's first 100 days being amazing. In retrospect, he said a bit of turmoil in the short term, and that's what we certainly got. And then here we are, sort of 6 months in, and it's like, well, how's the first 6 months gone? And it could be setting up for all-time highs on SPX, all-time highs on NASDAQ, all-time highs on Bitcoin, maybe potentially record-breaking GDP figures, right? It could be Trump's time in the sun coming up here, and really everybody feeling pretty good about things. Now, you can't necessarily keep that going forever, because this comes off the back of de-escalation on a potential nuclear war, ending the potential for conflict between 2 nuclear nations over there, India and Pakistan as well, just a couple months ago. And sort of these things are happening in the world. I've given a great background, and of course there was a big drop in SPX and so on to recover from. So all these things have really propelled things forward, and the question then is, what will we see next? And if we can ratchet up another level, then it would be really spectacular. Like what could happen over the next couple of years could be spectacular in terms of the prices of these things. Now, what happens if the ideas that Donald Trump has put in place turn out to be less taco and more MAGA or whatever, and we see that there's real follow through in the economy? What happens if that happens? Maybe people start to actually be friendly and like each other again and get on well, and peace comes around all around the world. That'd be good for the economy.
You see Cher's Lord of Pigeon, who was there in Discord's screenshot.
Share from the Discord. I forgot about that news. That's what I was supposed to do. We've still got time on the show. Brilliant. Let's get on with that then. Bring up the Discord. And what were you saying there, Jimmy? I'm just looking here in the Trader Talk LivePerson room on the public side of the Discord, and I'm seeing that there's been great chat today. This is funny. Stay away from LPSN, and then today's price action. That was so funny. And then of course the chat about, am I manipulating this stock? Because we had some interesting stuff happen today in the world. We have some news that I wanted to share with people, and I'm going to bring that up for you just now. We have these news things. What is it here? So we've got this story where agentic AI market is worth $140 140 billion,
Will be
right, by 2032.
10x growth.
10x growth coming up in this field. And agentic AI, if you're wondering what that word means, it's when you have an agent that can do things. So the AI is more than just saying hi back to you, but it's actually performing tasks for you on your behalf and then responding with like a collection of completed tasks. And that's what LivePerson does. And this article here was talking about how wonderful the future is going to be. And there is, of course, because we have got our fingers on the pulse, a mention of LivePerson right here, which comes under the heading of top key companies in agentic AI market. Now, you'll have heard of some of these already. Let me just run through the list because there's not too many on it. It's a pretty exclusive list. IBM, that's Big Blue. You've all heard of that. NVIDIA, yeah, OpenAI, right? Oracle. These are literally the biggest companies in the world, guys. Microsoft, again, Google, AWS. I mean, it just continues with this huge, colossal list. Salesforce, of course, making its way onto that list as well. And then LivePerson. LivePerson, what company that is. Getting invited right to the top table there and sharing it with the kings of the market, NVIDIA. Having great performance in its stock price recently. It's right up there, testing all-time highs currently today. Microsoft performed very well recently, and it's been great. So what we're looking at here is 10x growth. 10x growth for 140 billion by 2032. That 2032, that's not far away. It's just around the corner, and there are some deep value stocks out there. And if we look at this, which is a Reddit post, which was shared in penny stocks, r/penny stocks, we can see that there was some great chat today about a particular AI stock. That's right, LivePerson. It starts off here with a really positive start here. AI stock is at 74 cents. Well, we know that story has changed somewhat. Current price is 91, 92 cents, right? So it's had some nice price action today. But that's what they started with, because this was posted just 5 hours ago when everything was different. Here's why I think $5 isn't crazy, and we're already so much closer towards that target. We know a lot of this chat, right? We know a lot of this chat. We have spoken about it a couple of times on the show. A lot of these ideas, of course, the genesis of them is right here on this show, or TradeSpotting's show, and it makes its way out here into the wider world through a sort of trickle-down process. LivePerson has come up a few times here, but the situation seems to be shifting more meaningfully now. They're not building flashy LLMs or consumer apps. Their focus is enterprise AI for contact centers, essentially replacing human agents, as we know, right? And we're talking about the earnings here. Delisting panic already happened earlier this year, all past all that, and they're presenting a positive case here, right? They can carry the debt, and yes, risk is there, but the fundamentals in trade are trending in the right direction. Still seems underfollowed and likely undervalued at current levels, and prices are still undervalued. The company is definitely overweight. You know, it's been weighed down and it needs to go back up to where it ought to be. And the thing with this story is that we're looking at a company where it's the darkest before the dawn. And when you are an early bird, you get the worm. And all the other birds come out later on and they're like, oh, how did you get the worm? And you're like, because I got up when it was darkest, before the dawn. And we're all early birds. It's cool. It's cool to be an early bird. So that's the story in this thread over here. And this could be turned around. You know, how long is it going to be before we start seeing that there's an increase on their income, and we start to see that there's an end to the churn. We're right there. It's right. You can smell it. Screw it. I'm in for 100 shares. It says Jimbo Reborn, and today you were reborn, Jimbo. Today you were reborn. Your $74 investment is now worth $91, maybe even $98. You did it today, Jimbo. It happened for you. And there's many more. Jimbo is just like the very tip of the iceberg here. I've got a sizable position in LPSN, says the severe cartoonist, 4:04, 6 hours ago. And he agrees with what the original poster is saying. Great things are coming. $10 is the next step. People are like pretty sure it's just FOMO right now, but you know, it's actually pumping. It's pumping. It's pumping. It's happening. It's pumping. It's pumping. We're testing that green line. It's up there at $1. You know, take your delisting and shove it up your NASDAQ. We've got a new era coming. A new era where everybody's alive. Person. Hit the like button because you ought to, and that's what we're doing here in the channel. We're hitting the like button. I'm going to be making a short this week because the audience, you want it. You want it and you're going to get it. And that's because you are Chef's Kiss special. There's one last thing we want to talk about on today's show here with regards to the Lord of Pigeon screenshot of his account, which is in their account, which is in the Discord. I'll be taking a look at that in just a minute. But before we did that, what I wanted to take a look at was just a little bit of info, you know, that's circulating around about the company. All this information, it was back posted when the prices were last at 85 cents, which was in April, and it was a really relevant thing to bring up at the time, you know, 6-7 cents ago. But here we are, and the prices have moved lots. Anyway, you can see the connection that I was making here, and it's like, oh, you know, it's challenges because it's had 22% revenue decline, and recent 8K filing, it's done this, it's done that. You're going to talk through it and be like, hey, look, you know, look at how well the story's going and what difference a little bit of time and self-belief can make, and all that good stuff. But yeah, you know, we're nailing things over here, so it's all pretty gravy. I've got the Discord open here, the wonderful Discord, the wonderfulest community in the world. So much good chat today. It'll take me forever to scroll all the way down little by little, but I do want everybody in the audience to see how hype it is. If you're watching this live right now, right, you can stick your share count in here, and we can just do a little like look at the power of us, just the people watching right now. Yeah, this is this little corner of the internet, just this little corner of the internet. Open up Discord, go over to the free side LPSN room, you know, the mother flipping free side baby, and put your share count number in there, right? And we'll just have a little laugh live on the show. This is obviously just a tiny sample. Yeah, be honest though. Be honest, right? We're looking for just a bit of fun here, and it's only fun if it's honest. This was the chat we had earlier on. Guys, please post like this post if you haven't, from Master Killer, and you can see the power of the community at play there, because we can share information live in real time. I love the 80s. We've got lots of great memes in today's chat as well. I'd like to bring up some. If you want to forward your favorite meme that's come up in the last couple of days in the chat towards the start of the chat, get jump to present, then I'll give it a feature in today's show as well with the share price, the share count. Let's see though. Let's see.
Start off with Lord of Pigeon.
Is Lord of Pigeon. So I'm just going to jump to present, right? So I can get the screenshot. Here's Cloud. Wait, I need to go back up towards thing. Do you know the timestamp on it exactly?
Yes. Lord of Pigeon shared it at 22:56.
This is
50 uploads.
yes.
Signature pictures.
So this one here is
Pigeon Lord.
Pigeon Lord. We've got a position size of 1.1 million shares. Right, that's 1.1 million shares. Let's see here. Very good day for Pigeon Lord, hey? And let's see the next one.
Get that and you see a lot, so that's the first next one.
A lot, that's the next one. A lot. Look at this here, it's another 10,000. Another 10,000 just in the chat here. Let's see 30,000. So that's 40,000. 192. So that's right. So 192. So that's 232. 10,242.
You'll be writing it on your.
Oh, aye. Okay.
You're gonna have to upgrade.
I gotta have to.
It's too big a number already.
It's too big. Yeah, I could get my notes thing back up. Oh, it's untuned. I'm not gonna. It's unthingied. But it's still though. I'd like to have it I'll write it down here anyway.
Big clicks.
Right, I'll write it down.
Loads
We
of
can
big
show it.
clicks.
So we'll start at the start, which is 1.1 million. Quick share count, public share count. Everybody's being honest. There's no point in not being honest. It's what being honest what makes it interesting. So 1.1 million. Then there was 10k, 192k,
Another 10k before that, 182.
another 10k as well before that. Okay, and 30k, 49k. Just
There's
go-
another 10k.
Pardon?
There's another 10k too.
There's another 10k as well. So there's three 10ks at the start. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And 20k, 42k.
Another 1,000.
Yeah, 1k, just over 40k, 44k. This is the real annual general meeting, isn't it, guys? Like, and this is the tiny sample, but let's keep adding them up. We've got another 1,000 there. 5k, 64,500. I'm just going to call that 65 because it makes maths easier to do.
Yeah,
60,
yeah.
48, 32. 7k. It says minus 7k, but I've got to include it because I can't tell if joking mean. 10k. Cool. Right, this is live, folks. Okay, 45k. So 10, 202, 222, 252, 301, 311, 331, 373, 74, 400, and wait a minute, did I add this? Alright, 474, 400 and 514, 500 and 65, 630, 680, 510, 20, 565, 500. Add that to 1.1 million, and you've got 1,655,000 shares. Add on 9,300 for 1,665. Is that right? The numbers are big, right? So that another 15,000. Wait, I'll just write them down here real quick. I'm going to round that one down to 9,300 because I rounded one up before, and that one there, 110k. Jeez, big number there. 15,000. Awesome. 6,000. I'm going to round that one up because I rounded the other ones down a lot. That's just from the people watching right now, right? So that's us. That's us.
9 million shares in total. So just from the people watching right now, it's like what percent of the company?
So we'll call it 1.7 million people shares in here right now. That's what we'll just call it. 1.7 million shares watching right now. And we know there's how many shares in the company?
79 million.
79 million shares. So that is 3%, is it, of the companies right here? Is that what's the maths on that? 3%? Is it 3%? People, there's some people who 2.15%, right? 2.15% of the company is right here, and that doesn't even include my shares or Jamie's shares, and that's a good chunk. And there's other people who aren't even watching right now, who are part of our community.
Voting people, voting party.
I mean, I know somebody in the community who Quiet Night Alive, for example, right? He's got a lot of shares.
T-ball Hennings got a lot of that.
T-Ball Hennings, he's got a bunch of shares, yeah. We
Millions.
There's millions and millions and millions of shares out there. Millions of shares out there. I mean, that was just a little quick dip, right? Quick dip in the share pool. How do you like the share pool, guys? It's lovely, isn't it? It's lovely being a part of the share pool. The big, lovely share pool. No matter what it is, like 995 shares that somebody had and somebody else with 1.1 million, you know, this is the family together, enjoying what we do every week with each other, enjoying it, making the price predictions, seeing the everybody else dive in after we've already decided where the 3-star buys are and all that stuff and having good times. It's just like, you know, it's the best. It's the best. It's what we do. You're the best. Jamie's the best. You're the best in the audience there. Give yourself a like. Hit like on yourself, guys and girls. You deserve it. Yeah, that's the chat in there. That's the chat. People trying to get up in my private business over here. Rocky, how many shares you got? You're never going to know.
All of them.
All of it. Yeah, I've got the other 77 guys, right? So
You can't have it.
I don't actually have them because I know that some have some other people do have some other shares. Yeah. I've got some shares, right? Sharp. And it wouldn't be right to talk about that sort of stuff. Crass. I'm classy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm classy. I can even speak in a French accent, stuff like that. Because I have the class. Anyway, right, I think that there's most of the questions of the show have been answered, but there was one big question I had for the audience, which is what have you learned since last week? I did ask it at the top of the show. What have you learned since last week? We have threats often do get carried through with in the world. Anything can happen at any time. The investment in global security is in itself a part of the trade balance, as we spoke about in the national deficit episode, Understanding Economics. And we can see it in actually playing out. You know, here's a president who is the peacemaking president, right? But he's peacemaking president, Mr. Sir Big Bombs. Okay, it's like it's peace, but it's peace, and if it takes me dropping a bomb on your face to get that peace, then there's going to be damn well going to be peace, right? And that can happen, right? And it can happen at any time, but is it going to be a black swan? How can you tell if it's a black swan event or not? And what are the risks? We learned about that and how to analyze them in real time. And then here we are, the other side of it. And we're seeing how the markets responded positively to that. Imagine how you would be positioned if there was an end to the war in Ukraine. What companies would you be long? What companies would you be short if the war in Ukraine ended? And what would it look like and feel like? And it's cool to be able to imagine these sorts of things. Having just lived through an experience of seeing a 12-day war happen that took every single headline slot around the world on every single media outlet. Everybody was paying attention to it. Biggest thing that happened in the markets in quite a while. And Bitcoin had to ride it out on the vanguard over the weekend, exposed to 24-hour markets. We called the price action in advance on that. And seeing prices not breaking those crucial levels was, of course, another massive sign that this was not a black swan and it was working out. And we got the tail wagging the dog. You could tell the piece was coming by looking at charts in advance. It's pretty cool. We did all of that together as a crew, as a unit, as a crowd. Jumping on over to the thing. Look at this. We've got another 12,650 in there. We've got another chunk, right? And if we go over to the Bitcoin room, just kind of look back, some of the chat from today's show, for example, I posted this yesterday, just kind of telling people what would happen in advance, how it would make sense. Here's a video that I published in the community. But if we look back, we can see that before this all happened, as I so often do, I put a post out there telling people in advance. This was back when prices were 99,000. And we predicted what would happen with the prices moving up all the way to the targets of around the 107, as I've spoken about and explained on today's show. I was explaining where the pivots would be, how prices and sentiment would flip between feeling good and feeling bad. Spoke about it again at 105,000. Good stuff. And that is how it goes in the community, in the community. And this is one of the more technical rooms where people put a lot of risk on, and they live and die by the consequences in this room. It's really great trading, really great traders in there. Fantastic stuff. Really encourage you to take part. Commodities, still looking to see how gold plays out after the chat we've had recently on this one. As I was telling people there, this played out, folks. It played out. There was money lying on the table right there. Brilliant. There you go. Money on the table, and there's many more examples of that throughout the Discord. That's just a couple of them from the paid side in the last wee while. Pretty neat that I was able to call that and get that as another millions of examples of that. And that's just mine, There's some great ones I could show you of trade spottings, but I'm all about me today because I'm so handsome. And with that bombshell, it takes us to the end of today's show, where I say to everybody that you are just as handsome as me because you turned up today and my face literally rubs off on everyone.
Thank you for the show, or if they've had a really good day, there's a link in the description below
There's-
they can donate.
There's links in the description below that you can use to donate to me. If you have had a great time today and you want to say
Enjoyed the
thanks and you've enjoyed the show, that is an option. And I want to see you all again next week because I know that we're going to make great progress together as a community, step by step, improving and raking in that money together. So well done to everybody for the last couple of weeks. I can't wait to see you all again next time. Ja bless, as they say in Jamaica. Parkside boys! Parkside boys! Parkside boys!
Parkside boys!
Parkside boys!
Parkside boys! Parkside boys!